Let me ask you something. Have you ever cried so much your dua came out as a whisper because even your voice was too tired to speak? You raise your hands again, but this time a part of you doesn't even believe it'll change anything because it's been months, maybe even years, and the one thing you keep begging Allah for still hasn't happened. So quietly, in the corner of your heart, a question starts to form. What else am I supposed to do? Why does it feel like Allah isn't answering me? Aliyah sat on the prayer mat again. It was late that night. Her hands were trembling, her eyes were sore, and her voice barely holding together. Ya Allah, please heal him. I'm begging you. I have no one else. But the only thing that came back was silence. No shift, no ease, no miracle. Her father was still sick, still struggling, and Aliyah kept staring at the same closed door of hope, wondering if it would ever open. She didn't just pray and sit back. No, she fought. Late nights of tahajjud, whispering dua through tears. She read ruqya over him, recited Ayatul Kursi by his side. She gave sadaqah quietly, hoping maybe that would help. But still, nothing changed. She wasn't asking for a miracle. She just wanted something, a tiny shift, a little sign from Allah that He heard her. But after a while, something inside her began to break. Some nights, she didn't even raise her hands. She'd just sit there, quietly crying, like even her dua had run out of words. What's the point? She felt guilty thinking it, but she was tired of hoping, tired of whispering into silence, tired of feeling forgotten. And that's what hurt the most. It wasn't just about her dad anymore. It was the silence from Allah that scared her. Did I do something wrong? Is Allah punishing me? Why isn't He helping? And beneath those questions, a quieter voice whispered, maybe I'm not even worth being heard. Then one evening, while scrolling aimlessly, she came across a short clip. Just a scholar's voice on her phone, and he said something simple, but it hit her like a punch to the chest. You're mistaking Allah's silence for absence. And then he said, what you call silence is not silence to the one who hears every whisper in your chest. He is As-Sami, the all-hearing, not just the words on your tongue, but the tears you wipe quietly at night, the du'as you were too tired to finish, the cries you buried deep because you thought no one would understand. He heard the pain behind your smile, the questions you were afraid to ask out loud, the loneliness you didn't know how to explain, even the moments you stared at the ceiling and said nothing. That silence, He heard that too, and He is Al-Latīf, the most subtle, the most gentle, the one who works beneath the surface, behind the scenes, in ways so quiet. You thought your dua was ignored because you didn't get what you asked for. But what if Allah was protecting you from something you never saw coming? What if that delay was mercy wrapped in mystery? What if the job that slipped through your fingers was going to destroy your soul? What if the person you begged for was never written for you because Allah saw the heartbreak ahead and saved you before you could fall? What if He's not saying no, but not yet? Because your soul is still growing, because your path is still being written, because there's a better yes waiting at the perfect time. The Prophet ﷺ said, no Muslim makes dua to Allah with a dua that does not involve sin or cutting off family ties, except that Allah gives him one of three things. He either answers it, or he will store it up for him in the hereafter, or deflects a harm from him equal to it. So that illness, maybe your dua is what's keeping it from getting worse. Maybe you're not seeing healing because your prayer is holding back disaster. That car accident you'll never know about, it didn't happen because of a dua you whispered half asleep. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Nothing repels qadar except dua." You didn't see what he saved you from because you were too focused on what he didn't give. Even Yaqub alayhi, a prophet, a man chosen and loved by Allah, even he cried until his eyes turned white from grief. He lost his son Yusuf, not for days, not for weeks, but for years. And still, every night he cried. And his eyes turned white from sorrow, and he was suppressing his grief. People told him to let go. You will not stop remembering Yusuf until you become gravely ill or die. But he didn't argue. He didn't fight them. He just turned to Allah and whispered, "I only complain of my sorrow and grief to Allah." That wasn't weakness. That was surrender. Even in his blindness, even in his heartbreak, even when nothing had changed, Yaqub alayhi still believed, Allah is listening. Allah is still writing my story. Even if I can't see it, He can. And you're not forgotten either. Sometimes Allah answers your dua by changing you before changing your situation. Sometimes He keeps the pain in your life because it pulls you closer to Him than comfort ever could. Because if it wasn't for that trial, would you still cry to Him in sujood? Would you still wake up for tahajjud? Would you even remember how to raise your hands? But Allah was listening and shaping your soul. You'll see every dua you made, even the ones you forgot, even the ones you gave up on. They'll come back to you, not as words, but as light, protection, and reward. And you'll say, "Ya Allah, thank you for not giving me what I wanted. You gave me what I needed." And you'll finally see that every delay, every silence, every no was really a better yes in disguise. So ask again. Ask when you feel nothing. Ask when your heart is empty. Ask when your hands feel heavy. Because even when your dua isn't changing your world, it's changing you. It's changing your akhirah. Allah is not ignoring you. He is preserving your dua, redirecting your path, protecting your heart, and preparing your place in Jannah. So don't stop asking, because the silence isn't rejection, it's divine protection.